In my last video, we did the first coat of mud. Be sure to check that out if you haven't seen it. In this video, we're going to do the finish coats, so keep watching. My name's Deric. This is my wife, Jenya. We bought a fixer-upper. We're remodeling this house one day at a time, all while living in it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to get all the latest videos to track our progress. You'll find lots of how-to videos with step-by-step instructions to help you with your next do-it-yourself project. Welcome to the Rundown Reborn channel. Okay, it's day 2. We're going to go ahead and start this second coat. So the second coat's probably the most critical pass. This is where you really want to get everything covered and get it ready for the paint. So the primary tool I'm going to use is this 8-inch knife. And we're just going to put smooth coats over those joints. I'm just going to knock down some high spots wherever I find them. I want to go ahead and sink some extra screws wherever they were exposed and didn't get all the way down in. I did go back through and with a drill and set those screws a little deeper wherever I had one. Then after that, we're just going to go start our second coat. We're going to try to get those passes on as smooth as I can to try to reduce the amount of sanding I need to do. Sanding's not any fun, so the smoother you can put it on, the better. On the corners, so when we're doing a corner, I'm basically just going to smear a little bit on one side. I'm just going to do half corner right now. I need to let that first pass dry a bit before I can do the second pass. This is going to give me a nice sharp corner. We're preparing for the third coat. The third coat's all about just getting it smooth and feathered out. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm wrapping up the second coat. So I'm in the final corner here, and so far it's going pretty good. Really, all there is to it, for me, there's a lot of different techniques out there, but what I'm finding works for me is I take some mud, and I push that into the corner where I'm working. Just like so. Do a 3 or 4 foot strip at a time. And then I take some mud on the corner like this, and I pull that up through this, like that, and spread it out. I don't wipe it off though. Now I take this knife, and I push it into the corner and pull it out. I'm just doing one side of the corner. Pull it out, and pull that mud into the wall. Just like that. Then, find any places that are a little thin, add a little more if necessary, like so. And I've got some mud distributed in that corner. Now I can pull up through that and smooth that out, right up against the corner. Scrape that mud down, so it's nice and smooth. Just like that. Now, I'll come back after that's dry and do that other side of the corner, okay? And then for a horizontal joint, similar process for me, is I put some mud on that joint, just like this, and pull that around. Bring some more in there. Spread it out, get plenty of mud on there. Try to pull it into the drywall, up and down. I'm going to put some more on here. Just to give a little bit extra. I want to get that tape so it's completely gone. Just pull a little more, get that mesh to disappear. pull that up, pull it down. I'm not taking it off, I'm just kind of spreading it out. Now I'm going to smooth out the bottom and the top. Try to feather that into the wall. And then pull that last middle out. There's a few imperfections, but it's going to buff out when I sand it. And then we'll get a final coat and just make that nice and smooth. All I have left is just a little bit in this corner. Then I'll be ready to go back around the room once more and do the opposite corner. I've only done one side of all the corner edges. So I've done all the joints as I go. So the bulk of it's finished, but I'm going to need to come back and do this second side of the corner. Then we'll have our second coat done. Okay, that last coat I put on is dried now, and I'm needing to go back to my corners and do this second side. This is nice and smooth here. I need to put a second coat on the opposite side of this corner along the four corners of the room as well as the perimeter of the ceiling. There's a couple other spots I've got, like in this spot right here. I might need a fourth coat. So the drywall compound shrinks as it dries. And I had an issue here where I have old framing here and new framing here. Old framing's just slightly larger than the new framing, so there is a bit of a dip in the wall here. So I'm going to put a little bit more on these spots where there's some imperfections, and then once that's done, I'll be ready to sand it out. I've also got some trims that I'm getting ready to put up. I can put those around the perimeter of the ceiling as well as trim out this front window. So I'm really looking forward to getting those up and getting everything ready for the paint process. To do this second part, I've got a little bit of mud on my 8-inch blade here. And I've done the top, I've done this side. So I'm gonna work my corner out here and just put some mud up into this corner, like so. Spearing this mud in. I'm just going to pull it out a little bit and pull it down like so. Now you go into there and kind of pull that out against the wall off of the other corner. I want this corner to stay clean. I don't want to get a lot of material on that side I've already done. Do it against the top, pull that down in, pull it down. Now I've got it spread out. Now I just need to smooth it out. That's the top. Bring it down the bottom direction. Smooth this out as well. I just want to smooth that out. Just like that. So now that corner is done. I'm going to work my way across the ceiling, down the wall, get all four corners, and then we'll be good to go. I've started the sanding process. It's not fun. The better you are at putting the mud up, and the smoother you can put it up, the less sanding there is. It's really unpleasant. And what you're trying to do is get this stuff really smooth. You can see here, it's just feathered right along here. And It's really smooth to the touch. You just don't feel any ridges or any lumps, and it just goes really smooth. Then these holes will just buff out and be just glass. Now I do have a few spots. It was still a little tacky here, and it's just kind of gotten a little raw. So I'm gonna have to come back and touch that up with a third pass. In general, I don't think I'm gonna do a third coat on the whole room. I'm happy enough with my second coat and how smooth it is, and I just don't think it's needing a full third coat. I will come back. There are a few places where the mesh is exposed, as well as these corners need just a little bit more touch up. But we'll come back and do that, and we'll polish that up tomorrow. I'm on my last bit of wall here, and it's not a pleasant job, but it does save a lot of money. And it is definitely something anybody can do it themselves. If you can put up with having toothpaste in your nose after you're done. But basically the process is that I've worked out is I've got my 60 grit sponge here, and what I do is I go back and forth against these corners with this heavy grit sponge, and I just kind of smooth out the roughness. And then I'll go around the edge and try to feather and get all the rough edges off. It's a lot easier with these heavier grit sponges to get the big chunks off. So once you've done that work, just alternate between, this is my 100 grit sand block here, and I'm just trying to smooth out those edges. Careful you don't gouge the wall. Now I'm just trying to feather the surfaces and get them smooth. Now, once you have it basically smoothed down, I got my finer grit here. This is a 120 grit sponge, and I just want to smooth it and polish it a bit. Rub your hand on it and feel how good you're doing, and feel if there's any more ridges that need to be knocked down. This feels real smooth. You'll be able to feel if there's a ridge or a rough spot. If you feel it, just hit it again. Now, in some cases, like right here, I've exposed the fiber mesh, and I'm gonna need to go over that with a little bit more. Just touch that up and smooth that out. But otherwise, about 95% of the walls look great. Once we're all done, I'll come back with a dry cloth, wipe all the dust down, touch up the spots, let it dry for at least a day, day and a half, depends on the temperature and the humidity, and get this nice and dry, and then it's ready for paint. So, just gonna keep going, finish up my last bit here. Then I think I'll take a bath. All right, I'm in the homeward stretch now. I just need to touch up a few pieces here and there in the room. There's a couple of corners like this one. It's a little rough. It was slow to dry. It's winter. The lower part of the room doesn't get as warm as the rest of the room, so it took a little extra time to get these to dry out. There's a couple of seams in the walls that I've got a little bit of the mesh tape showing, so I need to smooth those out. And then I'll let that dry really good, and I can start priming. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm gonna do my trims up in the next round. But to go ahead and finish the drywall out, it's all sanded out, everything's smooth. I wiped it down with a broom. I have a couple options here. I can use my 8-inch here, or I can use this 12-inch. This 12-inch is really good for long stretches that you need to smooth out. You can put it on with a little bit on this side, and you smear it out, and then put a little bit of mud on this side and smear it out, and then smooth it out. The 8-inch, I'll probably stick with this to get these corners. I don't really need to smear mud way out into it. I might use this one for those tape seams. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these patched up and Then I'll do a final sand with a 220 grit mesh. It's really fine sandpaper just to kind of smooth that out as necessary. So to do these corners, I'm gonna just add a little bit of mud into the corner like so. There, I've covered up all the rough spots. Now on the weaker side here, I'm gonna go down this side now. Smooth that out. It's nice and smooth now. I've got a little bit of ridges and just want to smooth that out. It's best to have extra that I can sand off than not have enough, because I don't want to have to come back another time. So I'm just making sure that those crevices are filled, and I'll come back and just really smooth that out here after a bit when it dries. Now on a field area like this, I've got a little bit of tape exposed. So I'm going to take some mud and just put it right there where that tape is showing. Take off the excess. Some up there. Get my knife cleaned off. And just pull that down gently to cover it. You don't want too much. I want to keep that coming down. Make sure I've got enough on there to cover it. Still a little, pulled too much off there. A little too much off here. Pull that down through again. It's not very smooth, but I want to make sure I have enough plaster on there. I can smooth it out with a real fine sandpaper and get those ridges off, and I'll still have enough material there left to make sure that those seams are covered. Just a few more spots, I think we're all wrapped up. All right, the drywall's finished up. I'm really happy with how things pulled together. It's really not that hard a process. I really encourage you, if you haven't done it before, to give it a shot. You'll save a ton of money. It's a little labor intensive, I won't lie. It does give you a workout, especially the sanding part. But just take your time with it, do it in stride, and you'll have a great looking wall. Thanks for watching, and as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. And I look forward to you to the next one, where I'm going to start with my favorite part.